Welcome to Kinship Earth Connections. We are featuring global change agents from Kins Networks worldwide in our video podcast series. We are all spending so much time on video today. We get to collaborate with people from all over the world through Zoom, often without ever meeting them in person. How you show up on camera makes an impression. And in this brief video, I'm going to help you avoid the most common mistakes people make and show you professional tips, tricks, and techniques to help you look and sound your best to make an authentic connection with your audience. So the first thing to keep in mind is how to properly position yourself in the frame. And there's something called the eye line that a lot of people don't know about. I was trained as a video producer, so this was drilled into me from day one. And so this little illustration here shows the eye line. If you were to divide the screen into thirds, you want to align your eyes with that first line. So it'd be 2/3 through the top of the frame. And then you want to leave just a little bit of room above your head, and then keep your shoulders and chest in the lower third of the screen. And I want to talk about why that's important. Number one is because your name and title will be placed at the bottom, and any graphics or in some cases there might be subtitles or translations. So we want to keep the bottom of that frame clear to allow for those kinds of graphics. Here's an example, our beloved Susan with the right kind of framing. Her eyes are at the eye line. She's got her shoulders and upper chest in the frame, so there's room for her title and even a subtitle. Now, here are the common mistakes I see most often. Number one is some people have been taught to put their head in the middle of the screen. And I want to show you why that's not the best or most effective position. It really wastes a lot of space. You'll see that whole upper third of the screen is wasted. And before you see somebody's eyes, they're way down on almost the lower third. Secondly, once we put the title and graphics over that, it's covering up the nose and mouth. So it's not the most flattering position, and it doesn't look professional. Another common mistake is putting your head too close to the frame or too close to the camera. And this is fine if we weren't doing a professional production. Like if you're just having a Zoom meeting, that's no problem. People really like to see your face and see what's going on. However, for our purposes, we want to be able to have your name and title positioned a couple of times during the program. So when your head is too close to the camera, it doesn't give us room for that. And then your shoulders and your upper body completely disappear. And so we miss some of the body language and messaging that we would otherwise get. Another common mistake, if you are zooming in on a phone or a tablet, a lot of people forget that when you do the vertical framing, which looks fine when you're looking at yourself on your camera, but when it shows up on a full-length video screen, which our interview will, it leaves black empty spaces on either side, and that's also a waste of space. So when you are using a phone or a tablet, you want to make sure that you're framing yourself horizontally. Another common mistake is people forget or don't notice what they've got going on in their background. And unfortunately, that is something that, people make judgments. It can be distracting. People are like, oh, what is that thing? What's she got in her drawer? And then they're not focusing on you if they're too busy getting curious or distracted about what's in your background. So if you're in a situation in your home or in an office where you're unable to clear the background, I suggest using the blur background feature on Zoom. And here's how you do that. And you'll have access to these slides. So if you want to look at this more slowly, in your Zoom desktop version, you'll click on settings. First of all, make sure that you have enabled the virtual backgrounds tab. So that's something you do separately when you log in to Zoom and click on your settings. So you'll select background and filters and then enable virtual backgrounds. Then when you're in a meeting, you can click on that little arrow right here next to the stop or start video button. And then you'll choose virtual background. And then you'll see there's an option called blur. And once you select that, the background behind you will be obscured. It will be blurred, but you will be in full focus. Okay, the next mistake that we see is, I don't see this very often among this community, but I'm just making sure that we cover all our bases, and that's unprofessional clothing. So showing a lot of skin is generally distracting, and whether it's right or wrong, people make unconscious judgments about your level of professionalism depending on what you're wearing. Distracting or unprofessional clothing detracts from your message. So for the pro tips to look and sound your best, you want to avoid distracting patterns and avoid logo wear. We don't want to see a logo of, one of the big companies necessarily. We're not promoting them, we're promoting you. Solid muted colors keep the viewer focused on you instead of your clothing. And then this one, depending on where your camera is, mine is way above my computer. So when I'm looking at my camera, it's hard for me to see my screen. And so you may see me looking down, and that's okay. But I want to encourage you to notice where the camera is on your screen, whether it's attached or separate, and do your best to look at the camera instead of the screen. And then, of course, make sure your face has plenty of illumination so that we can see you. And then for sound, you want to avoid disruptions. Make sure you turn your computer notifications off and silence your cell phone. Keep background noise to a minimum, and if possible, be in a quiet place with your door closed. For best results, if you have an external microphone, I am using, let's see if I can bring it in the frame here. Oh, you'll probably hear that loudly. I'm using a plug-in. It's called a Yeti microphone, and it gives me fabulous sound. It's really easy to use. Some people use earbuds with the little microphone on it. So whatever works for you. It's a good idea to use the test speaker and microphone setting in Zoom to check your audio level. And of course, when we get on for the call, I will be working with you to make sure that that's all set up. And most importantly, relax, be yourself, smile, and enjoy the conversation. So thank you again for agreeing to be a guest on Kinship Earth Connections. I'm looking forward to our conversation, and we'll see you soon.